My name is Marla Sinclair, and at 2:14 on a Wednesday afternoon, one text message from my own sister tore my family apart in front of everyone we love. I was standing in the cereal aisle of a Kroger in Asheville, North Carolina, debating between the store brand oatmeal and the name brand when my phone buzzed against my palm. It was our family group chat, 52 people, deep aunts, uncles, second cousins, even my grandfather, who still thought LOL meant lots of love, but nobody had the heart to correct him. Then I saw the message. It was from my sister Whitney. My nephew is exactly why I'm pro-choice. Just saying. The box of oatmeal slipped out of my hand and hit the floor with a soft thud that somehow sounded like a gunshot in my ears. I stood there, frozen, rereading the sentence like it might rearrange itself into something less cruel if I just looked hard enough. Whitney, my baby sister, the one who used to sneak into my room during thunderstorms when we were kids, the one who cried harder than I did at my wedding, the same Whitney who 3 weeks earlier had thrown my son a birthday party with a homemade dinosaur cake because she knew it was his favorite. My son, Eli, 12 years old, autistic with ADHD and a congenital heart defect that meant cardiologist visits every few months. None of that was who he was. He was a boy who could tell you the mating habits of any bird in North America, who insisted on making my coffee every Sunday morning even though he always used too much creamer, who laughed so hard at his own jokes that he made everyone else laugh too. And in one sentence, typed out for 52 people to see, my sister had told the world his life was a mistake. My phone didn't stop buzzing. Cousin Renata times Whitney, what is wrong with you? Uncle Desmond times, that is disgusting, and you know it. Aunt Priscilla times, delete this immediately. But mixed in with the outrage were other voices too. Whitney's in-laws, her husband's college, roommate somehow, still in this chat, people quietly agreeing with her, saying things like she's just being honest and someone had to say it. Then Whitney doubled down. I'm not sorry. If I'd known back then what I know now, I might have made a different choice. Some lives are just harder than they need to be. I stood in that cereal aisle, rereading her words until the letters blurred. A stock boy asked if I needed help finding something. I don't remember what I said to him. My hands were shaking so badly, I nearly dropped my keys twice getting into the car. Eli was at school. He had his own phone. My parents had insisted every grandchild be added to the family chat so nobody feels left out. He was going to see this. He was probably already seeing it. I drove home on autopilot and sat in my driveway for almost half an hour before I could make myself go inside. The chat had ballooned to over 140 unread messages. I didn't read a single one. Instead, my thumb moved on its own to my camera roll, scrolling back to a night in August. I told myself for months that what I'd taken was an accident, a reflex. We'd all been at Whitney and her husband Marcus's lake house in Tennessee for Labor Day weekend. Eli was out on the dock with his cousins while the adults sat on the porch with wine. I'd gone inside looking for a bathroom and took a wrong turn down the hallway toward the guest rooms. Through a door that wasn't quite closed, I saw Whitney. She wasn't alone, and it wasn't Marcus. It was Colton, Marcus's business partner, a man who'd been to every holiday dinner for 6 years. My hand moved before my brain caught up snapping one photo before I even understood what I was looking at. I backed away without a sound, my heart hammering so hard I thought it might give me away. I deleted the photo that same night, or thought I had. It sat quietly in my recently deleted folder until 2 glasses of wine and a lot of unresolved anger later, I recovered it, and I kept it. Not because I planned to use it, just because some part of me needed proof that my sister, the one everyone called a saint, the one who posted inspirational quotes about kindness, wasn't quite who she pretended to be. Sitting in my driveway, I opened that photo again. Whitney's face, Colton's face. No ambiguity, no innocent explanation available. I took a screenshot of her message about Eli. Then I opened the group chat, uploaded the photo from the lake house, and typed a single caption. And this is why I believe in consequences. I hit send before I could talk myself out of it. My phone rang almost instantly. Whitney's name filled the screen. I declined. It rang again, and again, 13 times in under 10 minutes. I turned the ringer off and sat at my kitchen table with a cup of coffee, watching the screen light up over and over in silence. 40 minutes later, my mother let herself into my house with her spare key, not bothering to knock. "Have you lost your mind?" she said, before she'd even found me. "Do you have any idea what you just did?" I looked up from my coffee. About the same thing Whitney did, I'd imagine. Her face went blotchy the way it always did right before she cried. "You've ended her marriage, destroyed her reputation. Marcus's parents are already calling everyone. And what about my son's reputation?" My voice came out quieter than I expected, but steady. 52 people just watched his aunt say his life was a mistake he shouldn't have gotten to have. She didn't mean it that way, my mother insisted. Then how did she mean it? Explain to me the version of my nephew is why I'm pro-choice, where that's not exactly what it sounds like. My mother's mouth opened and closed. She was upset. Eli had a meltdown at her house last weekend and broke a vase. She was venting. She vented to 52 relatives that my disabled son shouldn't exist. I said, "That's not venting, Mom. That's cruelty with an audience." She left without another word, and somehow that silence was worse than if she'd screamed. At 340, I heard Eli's key in the door. His backpack hit the floor, the way it always did, but he didn't come straight to the kitchen for a snack like usual. He stood in the doorway, eyes red, face blotchy from crying. "Hey, Bug," I said, my own voice cracking. He didn't answer. He just crossed the kitchen and wrapped his arms around me, burying his face in my shoulder. He was nearly my height now, but in that moment, he felt so small. "I don't get it," he mumbled. "I thought she loved me." "I know, baby." She got me that bird book for my birthday. She said I was her favorite nephew. He pulled back, wiping his face with his sleeve. "Everybody's talking about it at school. Tyler showed me the messages on his phone. I'm so sorry you had to see that." He looked at me, something unreadable in his eyes. Not anger, exactly. More like careful curiosity. "Did you really post a picture of her?" I could have lied, softened it, called it a moment of weakness. He deserved better than that. I did. "Why?" "Because I was angry. She hurt you, and I wanted her to feel something too." He considered this with the seriousness only a 12-year-old can manage. "Okay," he finally said. "She was mean to me first. You were mean to her second. That's fair." "It's not really about fair, Bug. It is what she deserved," he said, cutting me off. "She said I shouldn't exist. You said she's a liar. Being a liar is worse." Before I could respond, my phone rang. Not Whitney this time. Marcus. I answered on speaker so Eli could hear. "You've ruined everything," Marcus said, his voice raw. "My parents are pushing me to file for divorce. Colton just quit the company. Whitney hasn't stopped crying in 2 days. Are you happy? Are you calling to apologize for what your wife said about my son?" Silence. "That's what I thought I said." "What she said was wrong," Marcus admitted quietly. "I told her that. But what you did, sharing that photo, that's cruel, Marlo." A small, steady voice cut in. Eli had moved closer to the phone. "She said I shouldn't be alive. My mom showed everyone that your wife is a cheater. Which one is worse, Uncle Marcus?" More silence. "Jordan, Eli, buddy, she didn't mean..." "Yes, she did," Eli said, his voice not wavering at all. "And now everyone knows what she really thinks and what she really does. My mom just made it even." Marcus hung up. Over the following days, the family split down the middle. Some people called me brave, others called me vindictive, a bitter older sister exploiting her son's disability for sympathy and revenge. Aunt Priscilla started a separate chat without Whitney and got accused of picking sides. Cousin Renata posted a long Facebook essay about family loyalty that somehow managed to upset everyone equally. But quiet messages also started arriving from parents of other kids with disabilities, people who recognized exactly the kind of comment Whitney had made, the casual cruelty dressed up as honesty, a whole quiet network of people who understood precisely why I'd done what I did. On the 4th day, Whitney showed up at my house at 7 in the morning, no warning, her car idling in my driveway. I almost didn't open the door, but I thought about Eli asking me the night before if his aunt would ever say sorry, and I opened it anyway. She looked wrecked. Hair unwashed, no makeup, wearing what looked like the same clothes from the day before. The polished version of my sister I'd known for 30 years had simply evaporated. "Can we talk?" she asked. We stood on the porch in the cold. "I'm leaving Marcus," she said. "The papers are already being drawn up. His family won't speak to me. Colton's wife filed on him yesterday. The nonprofit board asked me to step down. I've lost everything." "You did this," she said, her voice rising, "over one comment about my own son. You destroyed my whole life." I was angry, I said evenly. "Eli broke a vase and I was venting. Yes, I said something horrible, but I didn't mean..." "You meant it in that moment," I said, cutting her off, my voice sharper than I intended. "You think raising Eli is too hard. You think his life is worth less. You think I made the wrong choice having him." Her face crumpled. "He's difficult. You can't pretend he isn't. The meltdowns, the appointments, the accommodations at school. Your whole life revolves around managing him." "My whole life revolves around loving my son," I said. "What about you? What about your career, your marriage, your freedom?" "I gave up nothing that mattered," I said. "He didn't ruin my life. He is my life. And if you can't understand that, then losing you isn't much of a loss." She started crying, then real and messy. "I'm sorry. I'll apologize to him publicly. I'll do anything. Please just take down the photo. Please help me fix this." "No," I said. You chose to humiliate a 12-year-old in front of his entire family. Those consequences are yours. You chose to expose my affair, she cried. You ruined my marriage. I chose to answer cruelty with the truth, I said. If the truth is what ended your marriage, maybe your marriage deserved to end. She stared at me, mascara running, and I turned and walked back inside, locking the door behind me. Through the frosted glass, I watched her stand there for several minutes before finally walking back to her car. Eli came downstairs an hour later, already dressed for school. Was that Aunt Whitney's car? It was... Did she apologize? She apologized for the consequences she's facing. He poured his cereal thinking it over. So not a real apology. No bug. Not a real one. Good. I don't want to talk to her anyway. The following weeks deepened the fracture. Thanksgiving plans dissolved into 2 competing dinners. My mother stopped speaking to me for a stretch. My father sent occasional neutral texts carefully, avoiding taking any side, but Eli seemed lighter somehow. He printed out the supportive messages relatives had sent him and pinned them to his bulletin board. Aunt Priscilla's, "You are exactly who you're supposed to be." Uncle Desmond's, "Your mom's a warrior and you're lucky." To have her, "Look how many people actually love me," he said one night, staring at the board. There were always this many, I told him. We just couldn't see them clearly before. He thought about that. So Aunt Whitney being awful actually helped in a weird way. Maybe it did. Marcus's parents showed up at my house on a Saturday 2 weeks after everything. I was pulling weeds in the front yard when their car pulled up. Eli was inside playing video games, blissfully unaware. Diane and Harold approached like they were walking into a business negotiation. "We need to talk about this situation," Diane said, clutching her purse. "Which situation is that?" "Don't play games," Harold said. "You've humiliated this family. Our son is falling apart. Our grandchildren are confused. This vendetta needs to end." Vendetta implies I started something, I said, I responded. That's a difference worth noticing. By exposing private matters to the entire world, Diane snapped. "Your daughter-in-law exposed my son to public ridicule first," I said. "She told 52 people his existence was a mistake." "She was frustrated," Harold said, waving a hand. "Parents get frustrated." "Frustration is normal," I said. "Venting to a friend or a therapist is normal. Choosing a group chat with the child, himself included, is not frustration. That's cruelty with an audience." Diane dabbed her eyes with a tissue. She's lost everything already. Her marriage, her reputation, her seat on the board. Isn't that enough punishment? "I didn't make her cheat on your son," I said. "I didn't make her write what she wrote about mine. I just stopped letting her pretend to be someone she wasn't." "We're prepared to offer you something," Diane said, lowering her voice like this was a secret, "to make this go away. Name a number." I actually laughed. "You're trying to pay me to delete the truth." "We're trying to save what's left of our family," Harold said coldly, "something you clearly don't value." "My family is inside that house," I said, pointing at my door, "probably building something out of Legos right now." "The family you're trying to save includes a woman who told a 12-year-old boy he shouldn't exist. We are not the same family." They left without another word. Weeks later, the school called. Eli had gotten into a shouting match in the cafeteria. No punches thrown, but enough that both boys landed in the office. The other kid was Whitney's oldest son, Tyler. He said his mom told him I was the reason our whole family is falling apart, Eli told me in the car, that it's because I can't act normal. "What did you say back?" I told him his mom was a cheater and a liar, and that's the real reason his parents are getting divorced, not because of me. "Eli, it's true. She did cheat. You know, that's true." "I know it's true," he said. But Tyler didn't know it that way before, and now everyone at school does, and he was crying. "So I'm supposed to just let him blame me instead," his voice rose. "Let everyone decide I'm the problem." We sat in the school parking lot while his breathing slowed. He'd always been such a gentle kid, quick to let things go. Something had hardened in him since that message, and I wasn't entirely sure how to feel about it. "You're not the problem," I said quietly. "But Tyler isn't either. He's a kid whose whole world just fell apart, and he's repeating what he hears at home. That's not really his fault. So I'm supposed to just take it." "You don't have to take anything I said. You just don't have to hate him for it either." That night, my lawyer, a woman named Judith, called after I forwarded her the cease and desist letter Whitney's attorney had sent, full of words like defamation and emotional distress. "This is nothing," Judith said flatly. "Everything you posted was true, and truth is a complete defense against defamation. You posted it once in direct response to her public statement about your child. That's not harassment. If anything, save every message. Document everything. If she tries to push this, we will not have a hard time." The legal relief felt good. It also felt hollow. I'd won technically, but the family I'd grown up in would never look the same again. Eli's therapist called it complex grief, mourning relationships that were technically still alive but fundamentally changed. We went twice a week, working through his feelings about his aunt, his cousins, the shifting ground under everything. "Do you wish your mom hadn't posted the photo?" his therapist, Dr. Alvarez, asked once. Eli thought about it. "Sometimes when I think about Tyler crying or how sad my grandma looks, but then I remember what Aunt Whitney said about me, and I'm glad again." "Can both be true?" Dr. Alvarez asked. "Can you be glad she faced consequences and also sad about everything else?" "I guess so. It feels weird, though. Most complicated feelings do." My mother finally broke her silence 6 weeks in, showing up at my door on a Tuesday evening looking exhausted. We sat in my living room while Eli was at a friend's house. "I don't know how to fix this," she said. "You're my daughter. Whitney's my daughter. Eli's my grandson. I love all of you. But I keep thinking about what she said. Really thinking about it." She twisted her hands in her lap. "When Eli was diagnosed, I was terrified. I didn't understand autism or ADHD or a heart condition on top of it all. I wondered if you'd be okay, if he'd be okay, if any of it was fair." "Mom, let me finish. I had thoughts I never said out loud, shameful thoughts. And then I watched you raise him, watched him become this incredible kid, and those fears just dissolved. He's not a burden. He's not a tragedy. He's Eli. So why tell me this now?" "Because I think Whitney got stuck where I started. She saw the hard parts and never moved past them to see him. And when she said what she said, she gave voice to the ugliest version of a fear a lot of us have quietly had. I'm not defending her. What she said was unforgivable. I just understand where it came from, and that makes it harder to hate her completely." "I don't hate her," I said. "I just can't have her in our lives." "I know," she whispered. "I'm not asking you to change that. I just needed you to know that I see you. I see what you did and why." We didn't hug. The distance between us still felt too wide for that, but something shifted just slightly toward understanding, even without reconciliation. 9 months after that afternoon in the cereal aisle, a letter came in the mail. Real paper, handwritten address, Whitney's name in the corner. "I know you'll probably never forgive me, and I understand that. What I said was unforgivable. I've started therapy. My therapist says I was projecting my own fears about failing onto Eli. That doesn't excuse it. It just explains it. I hope he's doing well. I hope he knows my words were about my own brokenness, not his worth. He deserves better than what I gave him. You both do." No signature. I showed it to Eli. He read it twice, handed it back, and simply said, "I don't want to write back." "That's okay," I said. "Do you want to talk about it?" "She's right that I can't forgive her. Not right now. Maybe not ever." "That's a very mature thing to say." "I learned it from you." He smiled, small but real. "You didn't forgive her either." "No, I didn't. Because some things are just too big to forgive." "Yes," I said. "Some things are." 6 months after that, we were making pancakes together on a Sunday morning when he asked out of nowhere, "Do you regret it?" posting the photo. I flipped a pancake watching it brown at the edges. Sometimes I regret how much it hurt people who didn't deserve to get hurt. Marcus didn't need to find out that way. His kids didn't need to watch their whole family explode in public. I met his eyes. But I don't regret defending you. I will never regret making sure everyone knew exactly who she was underneath the person she pretended to be. He nodded, pouring more batter into the pan. "Good, because I'm glad you did it. She needed everyone to see the truth, or she'd have kept pretending and I'd have kept believing she cared, and eventually she'd have said something even worse." That's a wise thing to say for 13. I'm basically an adult now. He grinned the same crooked smile that had lit up rooms since he was a toddler. Plus, I learned from the best. We finished breakfast in a kitchen that smelled like butter and syrup morning light coming through the window. Outside, the rest of the world kept spinning, indifferent to family fallout and broken group chats. But in that kitchen, everything was exactly the way it should have been. My son, sure of his own worth, and me, the mother who'd burned down half a family tree to make certain he never doubted it. I don't regret it. Not for 1 second. Have you ever had to choose between keeping the peace in your family and protecting someone you love? I'd really like to know what you would have done.